I think we might have just found the new king in the affordable dress watch market. Here's why. This is the Seagull Bidisc, an original design watch making homage in the true sense of the word to the German Bauhaus design philosophy, looking like the incredibly desirable and expensive Nomos and Junghans watches of the world. The best part? Well, this watch comes in at a staggeringly affordable price with fantastic materials and specifications. Big thanks to the official Seagull store on AliExpress for sending this watch in for review. Therefore, I will leave an affiliate link to this model and the official Seagull store down in the description. Check them out. The model we have in studio here today is the Seagull 819936099. This is a mechanical watch with great wearing dimensions, coming in with a 39mm case diameter, a 10.5mm thickness, and a 48mm lug-to-lug. Because of the 39mm case, it means that wrist sizes as low as 6 inches should be able to pull off this watch with ease. But because of the 48mm lug-to-lug, it should also suit wrists up to 8 inches with ease too. These sort of wearing dimensions are considered the sweet spot in the wristwatch world. Factoring in the fairly slim 10.5mm thickness, the watch will easily slide under a sleeve and allow many enthusiasts to enjoy the wearing experience, especially when considering how versatile this watch is with different strap options. We'll have a little strap fashion show with this watch later in the video, so stay tuned. Taking a step back and unboxing the watch, I'm very impressed with the packaging of this Seagull offering. Much better than anything else you see from other brands around this price point. Not too big and clunky, so it really won't take up too much room in your watch box graveyard. Pulling the watch out, you should instantly notice the best feature of this wristwatch, the dial. Here we have a take on the contemporary minimalist design idea popularized by the Germans. However, instead of a printed flat one-level dial that we usually see with this type of watch, we have a much more interesting take. The outer dial where the minute track and indices sit, we have a curved level. This ends where the striking green ring starts and has Arabic numerals delicately printed inside. The next point of interest is the sub-seconds dial, down at the 6 o'clock, which not only has a lovely pop of colour with the orange seconds hand, but also is sunken back, which adds an impressive third level to this dial. Thankfully, we have minimal printing with the Seagull and the automatic below the 12 o'clock, helping the minimalist look. Telling the time, we have a polished steel stick handset. The minute hand thankfully stretches to the outer dial, meaning everything looks in proportion, but that's not all. One huge benefit of Chinese-made watches is usually the materials that they use, where the Swiss and Japanese usually use inferior materials to build their watches for this kind of price. The China-made Seagull is stacked with long-lasting specs. Covering the dial, we have a flat piece of scratch-proof sapphire. This is of course much tougher than both mineral and plastic that some brands opt to use around this price point. Although not a deal breaker, it certainly will mean the watch will last a lot longer. As expected, we have a 316L stainless steel case. The case shape is contemporary in its design, not doing anything fancy with the lugs or the case shape, opting for a standard circular case with the lugs almost seemingly appearing from nowhere. This is definitely a design feature of the Bauhaus style watches. Flipping the watch over, we have a screw down case back with a display where you can see the automatic movement. More on this later though. I assume that the crystal on the case back is only mineral, as it shouldn't really be meeting any surfaces except for your wrist. The case construction is done well. It feels tough enough to survive the knocks of everyday life. And with that sapphire crystal, you'll be reading a clear dial for years to come. So the watch is built well, but does it have the finishing to back up the specs? Well, the finishing of the watch is very basic. Everything is polished. The lugs, bezel, case sides, case back. It is done to a fairly decent standard though. A polished case is typical with this style of watch. Usually brushing is more common on tool watches like divers and field options. So this being a dressier or everyday piece, it pulls off the fully polished look fairly well. So if you are wanting to use this as your dress piece, the polishing definitely helps it fit into that role more seamlessly. Now the crown is also made of stainless steel like the rest of the watch. It does have a laser engraved Seagull logo. I do think the crown is a good size for the watch too. There's a good amount of grip with the construction, which helps with the ergonomics. Now the crown is only push-pull, meaning that we only have 50 meters of water resistance. Typically this means that a watch can withstand swimming and cold showers. However, I'd personally avoid getting this one extremely wet. It will for sure be able to withstand splashes though, whether that be the rain or washing your hands. Usually I only recommend 100 meters of water resistance as kind of fully waterproof. As this is a dress watch and not a tool watch, I'm certainly not mad at the watch having a lower water resistance. I'm sure that we all have an actual dive or even a G-Shock in the collection that is made for the wetter activities anyway. This next point though is one of the most impressive parts of Seagull watches. Inside the Seagull Bidisc we have the Seagull ST17 caliber. This is an in-house automatic movement with a sub-seconds complication and doesn't feature a go state position. This movement beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour and has a 40-hour power reserve. Typically these movements come out of the factory with a good level of timekeeping. My model is within expectation rotation at around plus 15 seconds per day. The movement does feature some finishing visible through the clear caseback. The rotor also features finishing and is signed on the outer with the Seagull logo. It's certainly not a masterpiece of a movement, but it's very easy on the eye. The hand winding is a little grindy, certainly not as smooth as my Swiss ETA watches. The rotor is rather loud too, not obnoxiously loud like some Miyota movements, but still noticeable when your hand is near your face. As Seagull is one of the biggest movement manufacturers in the world, it means that if we ever need parts for servicing, then there's always plenty available. They also have a very low cost too, so it's a good movement to have for these reasons. I actually think that Seagull is a massively underrated brand. They unfortunately get put under the same umbrella as the likes of Pagani, Cadison and other AliExpress brands. However, unlike all of these other brands, Seagull is actually a watch manufacturer that's been producing wristwatches since 1955, actually producing 1/4 of the entire world's watch movements by volume. Many micro brands and even large brands like Timex use Seagull movements inside their watches. So although these are Chinese made watches, they definitely have their own unique history and heritage, something that many other Chinese brands don't even come close to. I personally am not a massive fan of budget homage watches on the likes of AliExpress. I value originality and history with my wristwatches. For me, Seagull is one of the only Chinese watch brands that I consider because of this criteria. Getting back to the watch itself, let's take a second to consider who this watch is for. Of course, being a bit dressier and more simplistic, any professional would love to have this watch. It without question wouldn't look out of place in an office or a black tie event. On the flip side, I can easily see this Seagull being used as an everyday watch too. I mean, the pops of colour allow the watch to go with t-shirt and jeans so easily. I picture this watch on the wrist when going out for casual lunch, grabbing a sandwich and a coffee. It has that sophisticated yet fun look to it that I actually think is pretty hard to pull off, but Seagull have executed it rather well. Overall, the Seagull bidis can easily work in a multitude of situations. Switch up the straps and off you go. Speaking of, let's have a bit of a strap fashion show now, showing you what you can expect the ticker to look like on some different strap options. Starting off, we have the supplied brown leather. It's a decent enough strap. It's certainly soft and supple and very comfortable to wear. I can't imagine this strap lasting too long though. I think this look is very casual. Next up, we have the second supplied strap, a NATO. I think this makes the watch even more casual than the leather. I think the colours do match pretty well too. Like the supplied leather, it's very soft and comfortable. Again, probably won't last a long time. This is what you can expect the watch to look like on a mesh strap. I think this is probably the dressiest option. It matches the polished case well and completes the minimalist look. This combination looks incredibly contemporary and can easily work with any outfit. Finally, here's the watch on a vintage style full grain leather. Again, this one makes the watch a little bit more dressy. The white stitching complements the white of the dial and adds a good level of detail. Overall, it's fair to say that this Seagull watch is a bit of a strap monster and should work on a range of different straps and different colours. So this watch is a bit of a standout for me in the affordable minimalist watch market. Considering the history and recognition of Seagull watches and the quality and materials that you get with this particular offering, it's a good value proposition. When you consider that this watch is a similar price to the likes of Daniel Wellington and Movement watches, there's only one clear winner in terms of quality and design. Even when you consider the likes of the Orient Bambino, with recent inflation, the Seagull bidisc is cheaper and built with better materials. If you want to check out this watch and the other colours available, check out the affiliate link down in the description. If you liked this video, then be sure to check out my video here on 10 affordable underrated watches enthusiasts should know.